Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another topic discussion of the editorial classes. Today we are going to discuss a very important issue, that is with respect to the power of governor and the power of governor with respect to state bills. As you know, a state bill cannot become an act unless it is either assented to by the governor or by the president. Recently, many instances have happened where it is seen that the governors of some states are not giving assent to the bills. Not only that, they are also delaying taking any action as far as the bills are concerned. States have questioned this undue delay and lack of action by the governors. According to them, lack of proper legislation has serious implications for the administration and governance of the state. What we are going to do today is to examine this legislative power of the governor within the context of his power to give assent, withhold assent, reserve or return the bill to the legislature. Although the legislative power is a broader norm, within the larger context of legislative powers, we will be discussing the power with respect to bills, power with respect to legislations of the states. States like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Punjab, West Bengal, they have claimed that the governors are not giving assent to the bills they drafted or the assembly which has passed the bill. Not only not giving assent, but also not taking any action. It's like governor is sitting on the bill. As you know, there are different kinds of veto which are available for the governor: absolute, suspensive and pocket. So governor is pocketing the bills and he is enlarging his pocket. So his pocket has become very big because of the bills, because he is not acting upon anything. Neither he is asking the government or the assembly to reconsider, nor reserving the bill to the president. For instance, as you know, the NEET bill, so-called, the Tamil Nadu assembly has passed the NEET exemption bill, and as you know, there is a NEET legislation at the central level, right? So a state legislation cannot override a central legislation unless it gets the assent of the president. So it has to be reserved. So the governor R.N. Ravi of Tamil Nadu has not acted upon it. Recently, that too, after a long time, he has done that. Similarly, you know that Chhattisgarh assembly has passed a bill dealing with reservation. So the governor refused to give assent. So that prompted the Chhattisgarh government to approach the Chhattisgarh High Court. So the issue is there are multiple areas which are not clear as far as the power of the governor with respect to state bills are concerned. As I am speaking, there is no judicial order specifically dealing with the aspect of assent or lack of assent by the governor. The constitution is also silent in the sense that no time frame has been provided. Let us see the constitutional basis of the governor's power with respect to state bills. After that, we will see various other crucial issues. Our approach today is to find out some mechanism through which both the constitutional responsibilities of the governor as well as of the state government are fulfilled. We are not taking sides neither of the governor or of the state government, right? But we will dispassionately analyze the actions of the governor as well as the actions of the state government. Having said that, what is the power that this governor have? What is the constitutional basis of power of the governor? As you know, Article constitutional basis of the governor's power with respect to state legislations. Article 200 of the Constitution provides that governor can, not governor can, word is important, governor shall declare. Whenever a bill is presented by the legislature after passing to the governor has following option as per the Constitution. 200, what does it say? Governor shall declare. Declare what he or she will declare? That I am giving assent to the bill. I am withholding assent. Shall declare that assent, withholding, or I am reserving the bill. To who? President. He has another option in this Article 200, that is, he can send back the bill to the legislature for reconsideration. These are the options given in Article 200. Article 201 deals with what will happen once the bill is referred for the President. Our major analysis or focus will be on Article 300 and related developments. Now, this is the constitutional basis, which means the Constitution provides, yes, you can assent, that I am giving assent. He signed it and, right, the bill became a law. Withholding, I am refusing to give assent. Reserving the bill to the President. In one case it is mandatory, and in another cases, depending upon the facts and circumstances, the governor can. Second, the fourth one is send back. Now, as far as the issues raised by the state governments, they are saying the governor is not exercising any of the provisions or options given in the Constitution. Neither assenting nor withholding. Withholding means he has to declare. It has to be a speaking order. Or reserving the President, nor sending back. Simply means taking everything and keeping in his pocket. This is not an option provided here. This is what they are saying. But the governor says, or the argument for not acting on the bill is, one of the argument provided is, this Article 200 does not provide any time limit or time frame within which the governor has to act. So, no time limit is given. Which means, if today the one assembly has sent this bill to the governor, it is not that the governor has to act within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, nothing is given. So the question I am going to ask you is whether a constitutional vacuum or constitutional silence can be exploited or misused by a constitutional authority like governor, which undermines the nature of representative democracy and federalism. My question is, the Constitution does not provide any time frame. There is a silence, a vacuum. Does it mean that the governor can take his or her time, sweet will, sweet time to act? No. There are two reasons why it is no. Number one, the purpose of a bill. A bill or a legislation is a problem-solving document. A bill contains, reflects, manifests the will of the people. will if the concrete manifestation of the will, needs, aspiration, desires of the people, which their representatives, that is the assembly, enacts and sent to the governor for converting a bill into a law. Undue delay by exploiting the lack of timeline within the constitution and not acting as per the provisions of the constitution undermine representative nature of government, especially in the context of parliamentary system of government. A governor being an appointee of the union government sitting over the state legislation is against notion of federalism, because states are not appendages of the union. States are sovereign within their sphere of competence. If this is the case, then the entire Schedule 7 division, the state list, will become what? A dead letter. Now, second argument is that governor is a very high constitutional functionary. The Constitutional Assembly or the forefathers and the fathers and mothers of the Constitution, Indian Constitution, they would not have thought that the governor will exploit this loophole, and governor being statesman will have the larger purpose, and it is beneath the dignity to provide a timeline to a very high constitutional functionary that you should act within 2 months or 3 months. If it is given, then it will remove the flexibility. So that they would have thought that it is undignifying to provide a time limit for the governor to act, but they would not have thought that this provision to respect the functionary will lead to the position's disrespect. So it is very much clear that having no time frame is not an excuse not to act upon that. It is very much clear, no question about that. But another issue is another argument for supporting this is governor has discretionary power. Governor has discretionary power. Governor has discretionary power. Hence, Article 200, the power of governor within the context of Article 200 is also discretionary power. The meaning of discretion. What is the meaning of discretion? Discretion means the power to act independently. Here independently means independent of the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. In general, governor is supposed to act as per the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers of the state. However, there are some areas where the governor can act independent of the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Let us see whether this argument is correct or not. Discretionary power. Discretionary power of the governor. There are two broad categories of discretionary power of the governor. Number one, explicit discretionary power. Number two, not explicit. I am using this word for a specific purpose. I am not using implicit. I am not using constitutional, situational, all those things. Because they are, according to me, they do not provide you a clear picture. Explicit in the sense that the Constitution provides the power of discretion explicitly. Clarity is there. When you can use, where you can use. When you are required to act as per discretion. Three major areas. Number one, Assam. The tribal areas of Assam, governor has to act as per discretion. Next is when the governor becomes the administrator of UT. Third one is special provisions, as you know, that 371 special provisions, right? Special provision dealing with Arunachal, Sikkim, Karnataka, all those things. Hyderabad, Karnataka region, Vidarbha, Marathwada, law and order in northeastern states. So these are explicit because it is given that you will act as per your discretion. You are required to act. So the council of ministers have no role. Although they may advise, but you are required to act as per your discretion. The existence of a council of ministers is not a bar. Not explicit. This not explicit will have again constitutional and situational. Not explicit means the grounds are not properly mentioned. Although discretion is provided, but where you will use, how you will use, not clear. Constitutional. 163. Article 163 of the Constitution says, Article 163 close 2 says what? There are some areas where the governor can act as per discretion, and the discretion will not be called into question in the court, etc., etc. But it does not say what are those discretion, where are those discretion can be applied. That does not say. (356) Governor may not be able to send a report for a preferential because it is obvious that the governor's report cannot be dependent upon the aid and advice of the council of ministers. Because council of ministers do not want a preferential rule, isn't it, in general? So this is it. But it does not say where it can be. General, this is provided. Here we are coming this 200. Before explaining it, I'll just see this. This is political in the sense that, as you know, when there is no majority, right, the chief minister dies, right, and dismissal of the council of minister when they lose their majority, etc., etc. I am concerned about 200. Article 200 does not say that is a discretionary power. But the Supreme Court has interpreted this Article 200 in this judgment, which is the judgment Nabam Rabia. In Nabam Rabia 2016, Supreme Court has interpreted Article 200. It said that the power to withhold assent, power to return, power to not assent, and power to send back, these are discretionary power of the governor. So Nabarabia says the powers of the governor in Article 200 dealing with power of assent, power of withheld, and sending back, and in some context the preferential reservation, except in that High Court wala, because High Court is mandatory. So it is discretion. Now the question I am asking, whether this discretionary, if it is discretionary power, then can the governor continue his inaction, claiming that there is judicial sanction as far as my discretion is concerned? It is true that as of today, it is held that to Article 200, the power is discretionary. But this argument is also not valid. Why? I will explain why it is so. Because this judgment has also said something else. That I will explain later. Now let us keep in your mind this Nabar Rabia says this is 200 is discretionary. For the time being, let us assume that Article 200 is discretionary power of the governor, so the governor is well within his or her right to act as per his discretion. Whether to sign, whether to withhold, whether to send back, discretion. I want to ask you another question in this context. You must be knowing about the immunity of the governor. The governor is immune from proceedings, not personally liable as far as Article 361 is concerned, both President as well as the governor. So, governor not giving assent to bill, not acting upon it. This is also discretionary power. Can the state government approach the court or any concerned citizen saying that my fundamental rights are violated because the governor is not giving assent, because I am the citizen, it is my sovereignty which is being violated. So, what would be the approach of the court? Will the court use Article 361 of the Constitution saying that court, it is immune from judicial review? The governor is not liable, personally liable to the actions or inactions. Right? So, what can the court do? Will Article 351 protect the governor from judicial review? In order to understand this nuance, we need to know what the court held in this case. Rameshwar Prasad versus State of Bihar, 2005. This is important in order to understand that discretion wala thing. In Rameshwar Prasad versus State of Bihar, 2005, the Supreme Court said, it is true, Article 351 provides immunity to the governor. He is not personally liable, but they said there is a distinction between personal immunity of the governor and actions of the governor. So, personal immunity of the governor. Second is actions of the governor, action or decision. Yes, governor has personal immunity. The court will not be issuing notice to the governor, asking him to appear, right, and hearing and punishing him for all his duties which are done as part of his office, position. But we will have the judicial review of the actions or decision of the governor, although it is a limited ground. Governor personally not liable, immune, immunity is there. Immunity is available to the personhood of the governor, not the actions or decisions of the governor. The court can review the decision or actions of the governor on the ground of mala fide. Mala fide, bona fide, or bona fide, or mala fide. Mala fide, bad intentions, wrong intentions. So my question is whether the governments or interested other parties approach the court saying that the governor's action with respect to the bill is driven by mala fide intention and this has to be addressed. Court should judicially review it, and if it is found if it is found that actions are taken as per this mala fide intentions, then it should be struck down. Article 356 have been invoked by the Union government on the basis of report of the governors. Governors have been castigated, meaning that criticized by the court, High Court as well as the Supreme Court in multiple times. If you remember the lecture on anti-defection law, where I mentioned the Subhash Desai judgment, where the Supreme Court has criticized the governor's role with respect to what? Asking for a floor test. The Supreme Court said the governor has no role to deal with inter-party or intra-party conflicts. Governor did not have any objective material before him to call the floor test. So keep this in mind. Governor as a person is immune, not his action. If that is the case, then governor will become a super authority. Indian constitution is based upon the ideals of constitutionalism, which means there is no absolute power. All the constitutional functionaries, including the Prime Minister, Home Minister, President, MPs, the CEC, everybody is limited by the four corners of the constitution. Hence, we cannot imagine a situation where the constitution itself provides power to an individual to act arbitrarily or absolute manner. The purpose of a constitution is to limit the power of the government and its functionaries. So do you think that a constitution will provide absolute power? Keep this in mind. Judicial review is available as far as the actions of the governor is concerned. Now come to the discretion or this Nabam Rabia judgment. Nabam Rabia. Yes, discretion. Nabam Rabia said discretionary power. But Nabam Rabia also said discretionary power is very limited and the discretionary power is also subject to judicial review. I am saying Nabam Rabia said discretionary power, yes, but discretionary power is also subject to judicial review. So if assent or the power of governor within Article 200 is a discretionary power, as discretionary power is subject to judicial review, this discretionary power within Article 200 is also subject to judicial review. The immunity under Article 351 does not provide immunity or impunity to the governor's action or decisions. Especially in the context of our discussion, bill, which means individuals or the state can approach the court. In fact, Telangana government has approached the Supreme Court, saying that the governor of Telangana has been sitting on bill, not doing anything. The court asked for the responses of union government, state, and not the governor, principal secretary to the governor. Notice will not be given to the governor, but his secretary will be able to, the notice or the notice will be issued to that individual, because you cannot issue to the governor. In fact, instead of governor, it is issued to the union. That is why you see the Solicitor General is also already there, always there, representing and defending the governor. When this issue reaches the Supreme Court and Supreme Court asks for response, and on the date of hearing, the Solicitor General informed the court that the large number of bills have been given assent by the governor. Supreme Court did not look into this entire issue. They disposed of the matter without going into the constitutionality of this pocket veto, not sitting over the bill. But Supreme Court has said one thing: constitutional functionaries are expected to act with speed. constitutional functionaries are expected to act as soon as possible. The Telangana case, Telangana. You can say the Union of India versus State of Telangana. It is not judgment per se in that sense because formal notice has not been issued that way. But again, you simply mentioned a Telangana case where the government of Telangana approached the Supreme Court. The phrase as soon as possible within Article 200 has a meaning. This is what they are saying, Supreme Court. As soon as possible, return. The proviso under Article 200 says the governor may as soon as possible return the bill for reconsideration. The court said as soon as possible means as soon as possible. It has to be within reasonable time. Why the governor is not giving assent? He or she might feel that I require some clarification. There might be some problem with the governor feels. And the governor has this device within the constitution. Either can ask the chief minister or send the bill to the, bill to the assembly. So, bill has to be sent as soon as possible. So, you cannot say that I will take 2 months, 6 months. So, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. So, functionaries, they are supposed to act with vigor, sense of purpose, speed. But although it did not provide any guideline, Supreme Court did not provide any guideline in the sense that the governor should act within 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, etc. No. Again, when we say the governor has discretionary power under 200, it does not mean that absolute discretion. The discretionary power of the governor under 200 is limited, like discretion limited in other areas. It is limited and is subject to judicial review. So, it is very much possible that individuals or the state can go to the High Court or the Supreme Court for that matter and seek an order with respect to the entire issue. But as of today we are speaking, there are no specific judgment with respect to this bill, in the sense that laying down some guidelines by the Supreme Court. There is a judgment in 1951, Purushottaman judgment, 1951, Purushottaman judgment. That judgment says this as soon as possible provision is only applicable to returning the bill, not to other three. As soon as possible is only applicable to returning the bill. As soon as possible is not applicable to what? Offending, withholding or reserving. But anyway, it was 1951 judgment. But when we read the recent judgments of the Supreme Court, we will find that the court has held, although the governor has discretionary power, but the discretion is very much limited. And even within this discretion, judicial review will be applicable. If you see Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab, Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab, 1974. In this case, the Supreme Court said, the governor has to act as per the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, except in some explicit circumstances. So, in general, he or she has to act as per the aid and advice. But there are some very less or limited scope for discretion. in Maruram, M-A-R-U, Maruram and Perarivalan. Maruram and Perarivalan, Supreme Court reiterated this position. What? The governor has to act as per the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, except in well-known circumstances. When you read together these judgments, Shamsher Singh, Perarivalan, Namam Rabia, Rameshwar Prasad, the picture that comes into our mind, or the picture is getting clearer, is discretion of the governor is not an absolute discretion. The rule is the governor has to act as per the aid and advice. If the Council of Ministers who are bringing the bill into the House are recommending that it should be offended, then unless there are compelling circumstances, the governor has to give assent. Compelling circumstances means the discretion which we mentioned. Let's say High Court issue, or something like it is against the Constitution, or something which is against the law of the Union. For it is very much limited, and within that limit he can exercise discretion, but it is also subject to judicial review. The judiciary can view or review the actions and decisions of the governor on the ground of arbitrariness or malafide. Right? Arbitrariness, arbitrary. Because I felt I must do it, I did it. No reason. I am the boss, I will do anything I want. Malafide, bad intention, in order to trouble you, in order to create problems within the governance. Because you are opposition. Right? So, although there are no specific judgment of the Supreme Court with respect to this bill issue, a combined reading of various judgments dealing with legislative powers and executive power of the governor, we are coming to a conclusion that even the power within 200 is also subject to judicial review. Right? Number one. I want to ask you another question, a limited one. Why the governors are not giving assent to bill? In fact, why the governors are not acting upon the bill? One genuine reason might be the governors might have questions about the various provisions within the bill, require some clarification, and the required information might not be provided by the government. Number one. Second is, as you know, political. Because most of these issues are happening in states ruled by the opposition parties. So, whether it is genuine concerns of the governor with respect to the bill, or the political considerations, or there is one more, that is undermining the status and prestige of the office of governor, in the sense that, as you know, governors act as chancellors of universities in states. State legislations generally provide the chancellorship to the governor. Now, because the governor has started interfering in the working of the universities in states, the states government like West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, etc. have decided that we will amend the legislation and remove the governor as chancellor, or we will amend in a way that governor's power will be limited. Now, the question is whether the governors will be very much happy to provide assent to it, because their power, their role will be limited. So this is another issue dealing with status or prestige. But again, put it very clearly. As the Chancellorship of a Governor, as the Chancellorship of Governors within state universities are created by the state legislature, the state legislature is very well within its right to remove that power. Committees and commissions include Punchi Commission, NCRWC clearly stated that it is high time that the governors are relieved of their statutory responsibilities. Because this is nothing given in the constitution. Anyway, that's an entirely different debate, although I have taken another lecture on this governor as chancellors in earlier classes. Anyway, so governors are not acting or doing anything because of this. But these things do not justify at all, that we know. Because the implications of lack of action by the governor is enormous, very huge. As I mentioned in the beginning, undermining representativeness, undermining the representative nature of the democracy, undermine federalism. The administration and governance of the state come to a standstill. It has huge loss, even human life loss. I will give an example, human life. Online gambling. Tamil Nadu government has passed a bill to regulate or ban online gambling. Governor has not acted upon it. Suicides are happening in Tamil Nadu because people, played these online games and lost money, and what is happening. Not only that, it undermines welfareism and social justice. Welfareism and social justice. One classic example is Chhattisgarh bill, enhance the reservation. Governor is not acting. A bill is an instrument to give effect to the policy decisions of the government. Government or party conducts elections on the basis of some agenda. They will say, if voted to power, we will implement it. We will do that, we will do this. Now they have been elected by the people. Now they want to bring legislation to give effect to that. But the governors are not governors are not acting on it. Governor is an unelected functionary. Governor represents non-democratic structure, not undemocratic, although governors these days are more undemocratic rather than non-democratic. But anyway, non-democratic in the sense that they are not elected, they are appointed. Ministers, legislature, elected. The elected government, the elected representatives are responsible to the people. Governors' inaction or state legislation impact the very principle of responsibility. It undermines administrative responsiveness. People will ask, we voted for you, where are your promises? What have you done? The government cannot say the governor is not doing. Even if they say, people will not accept it. We voted for you, you are the sovereign. In fact, we have given you the sovereignty to act on behalf of us. After 5 years, when they go back to the constituency and seek vote, do you think that people will vote for them? But the government wants to implement. But the governor is not helping it. Governor is not accountable to the people. It is the government which is accountable. And their system of accountability and responsibility is thrown into winds. The serious implications. So it is high time that the governors work within the four corners of the constitution. They should work as per the vision of the assembly, constituent assembly. Dr. Ambedkar has said the discretion of the governor within the constitution or by the constitution or under the constitution, whatever that might be, the discretion of the governor is limited to those areas which are explicitly given in the constitution. Explicitly given. Article 200 not given. Or the court has said that, that doesn't matter. So, no discretion as per Article 200 and as per Ambedkar. So, you cannot say that I will act as per my own. You need to choose the actions given in the 200. Inaction is not an option for you. The purpose of giving option in Article 200 is to exercise that option. Why do you think UPSC gives you option in PT? Not only that, services, option to choose services, option to choose cadre. If you do not choose, then the UPSC will choose on behalf of you. The point is you have to choose one option. Options are given in the constitution. You choose that option, anyone. Although we are not dealing with the question whether it is right for the governor to not give assent. Can the governor say, I am not going to give the assent? Whether it is justified or not. The power is given in Article 200, which means he can or she can. But under what circumstances it can be exercised? That's a different question altogether. For every bill he or she cannot say, I will not give assent. That is not the system that is envisaged under the parliamentary system of government and conventions of parliamentary democracy. Many committees and commissions have gone into these issues, especially with respect to the time frame, lack of time frame and various issues related to that. Keep in mind, this delay or pocketing or now acting is not a recent phenomenon, in the sense that there have been some issues, instances earlier also, but the scope and scale of things are happening these days. These are unprecedented. Such huge delay cutting across various states. It has been a recurrent phenomenon. The governor saying that I will not give assent. I have not read it, but I will not give. This is what the governor of Kerala has said. I will not give assent to this bill. Question asked whether you have read it. I have not read, but I will not give. So these things are happening. But the magnitude, the scale of these things, we have not seen this before, especially in the context of this bill, which is not a healthy sign as far as the parliamentary system is concerned. Today, this party is in government. Tomorrow, some other party will come, right? So that cannot be an excuse, because today's position, government is tomorrow's opposition, and tomorrow's opposition might be today's government. I mean, day after tomorrow's government. So governor's office cannot be a mechanism to interfere or intervene in the state government. Governor is the appointee of the union. Committees and commission like Punji Commission, NCRWC have gone into these issues. Punji Commission 2010. The commission has given some tentative time frame. The commission said that the governor has to decide within 4 months or 6 months. There are two things. One recommendation given by NCRWC, one is given by Punji Commission. Punji Commission said 6 months. NCRWC said 4 months. Right? I'll just see this because it's a minute fact. Yes. NCRWC 6 months. Punji Commission 4 months. This is how it is. Punji 4 months, NCRWC 6 months. But anyway, these guidelines have not been followed by the governors. one last aspect I want to cover is you need to see the lack of promptness of governor with respect to the bills. You need to see this in the larger context of federal relation. Governors and state governments ruled by opposition in recent times have come into conflict on multiple grounds, multiple domains, multiple areas. One is obviously which we are discussing, this bill. Second is pleasure. Pleasure doctrine. You remember Tamil Nadu governor dismissed the Tamil Nadu minister, although after some time he kept the order in abeyance. Governor appoints chief minister who holds office during the pleasure. And governor appoints other ministers as per the recommendation of the chief minister. It simply means that until unless the chief minister recommends, governor cannot remove it. Booklet Punchi Commission 6 months, given maximum period. Punchi Commission 4, NCRWC 6. Right? If there is some change, then I'll explain that in the last class. Pleasure doctrine, another area of controversy. Bills. You all already know that 356. Not only this, summoning and proroguing houses. Summon, prorogue. Next, chancellor, that is university. Next, nomination. Where nomination? Nomination of MLCs in Maharashtra. Not only this, interference in administration. The governor of West Bengal setting up war room kind of situation. Governor of West Bengal setting up grievance redressal or complaint registration cell when the Panchayat violence happened. Anyway, it also happens in Telangana, governors holding public meeting and hearing grievances during the government, state. It happens in Tamil Nadu. Not only this, governor not reading the speech prepared by governors holding public conferences and openly criticizing the government. You name it, you have it. So the larger thing has to be seen in the context of this. It seems that the union is using the governor to control the state government without winning the election. Federal relation between union and the states should improve. This deadlock is not in anybody's interest. We cannot have a situation where the administration government comes to a standstill. Cooperative federalism should be the basis, not conflictual or combative federalism. Collaborative federalism should guide the union and state, and the governor, being the embodiment of cooperative federalism, should act as a link between union and state. Similarly, the state government should let go their ego and be more accommodative and address the concerns of governor. Or the court, whenever issue arises or whenever this happens, can lay down some tentative guidelines or direction, although that might not be appropriate, might violate separation of power, and it might be demeaning to the office of governor. But however, we cannot have an absolutist system of government. In order to protect rule of law and constitutionalism, some measures have to be there. You must be knowing that one private member bill has been introduced in the Rajya Sabha, private member bill. The bill aims to amend Article 200 of the Constitution. Article 200. It aims to provide time frame to the governor. The bill says the governor will have 2 months to declare assent. Will have 1 month to withheld, and within 1 month he has to send back to the governor or to the assembly. Not the governor, president. President. If you want to reserve the bill, then reserve bill within 1 month. If you want to send back within 1 month. Private member bill, as you know, with the private member bill, what happens with the private member bill. But again, this is what a bill has been given, submitted. But apart from the amendment of the Constitution, apart from judicial review, apart from various other aspects, the issue is political, not constitutional or legal. The word political here means politics between the parties which are governing states and union. There is a trend of executive aggrandizement. Trend of executive aggrandizement. Aggrandizement means increasing power. There is also a trend of centralization in Indian polity. So the development, this development need to be seen in that context. But to conclude our lecture, I would say, in fact, I would quote a Supreme Court judgment in which the Supreme Court said, the governor should not use his discretion in an arbitrary or fanciful manner. Governor's discretion is very limited to. Governor's discretion is limited to a very limited sphere. Governor's discretion is restricted to a limited sphere. Governor's choice should be dictated by reason. Dictated by reason, tempered by caution, and activated in good faith. Right? Anything you want to ask? You can. This is a very difficult topic in the sense that, you see, we need to exactly address that pinpointed issue. Right? So, that takes a lot of understanding as well as what we say, difficulty in teaching. Because that exact point has to be. Thank you. Anyway, I'll just take 5 minutes to discuss this main practice. Parliamentary democracy and the cabinet form of government at the state level requires the governor use his legislative power with respect to bills within the limited discretion provided by the Constitution. Don't worry about this three line statement. Very easy. Right? If such things come, what you have to do? Break it. Right? Parliamentary democracy and the cabinet form of government at the state level requires. So state level has parliament form of democracy, yes. Cabinet form, simple, almost same thing. Requires the governor uses legislative power with respect to bills. So the question is about legislative power of governor with respect to bills. And how it should be used? With the limited discretion provided by Constitution. Simple. Discretion is provided under 200. So the discretion has to be used for furthering the interest of the Constitution, furthering the objective of the Constitution, furthering the reason for which the discretion is provided. Not an absolute expansive discretion. First you write, you can start with a contextual introduction, in the sense that recently the context which we have provided in the booklet. Recently there have been numerous instances, that's it. Now then you write something about parliament democracy and cabinet form of government state level, just 1 or 2 lines or 3 lines depending upon the length of the question, marks. Parliament form of government is the government having what is that? Dual executive, and governor is the constitutional head at the state level. The cabinet is the real head which aids and advises the governor. So in general the governor has to obey, act as per the aid and advice. Right. Now let's write about the legislative power. The laws passed by the assembly the bills passed by the assembly becomes law when it is assented to by the governor. The Constitution provides power to the governor under Article 200. You can also mention 201, when the governor can reserve it to the president. Now this is the fundamental idea behind this. Now the question is, limited discretion provided by the Constitution. He has to use this power within the limited arena, choice. Which means, choice is given, discretion is given, but it cannot be used in a manner undermining this parliament democracy. In the context of recent development, use those examples. In Telangana this happened, Tamil Nadu this happened. It has fallen into question that the governor is overreaching the discretion. As judicial overreach is antithetical to good governance, governor's overreach is antithetical to parliament democracy and federalism. As judges are not administrators, governors are not administrators. Judges cannot govern, governors cannot govern, although their name is governors. Anyway, very easy to write. The word is examine. We can conclude saying that, yes, although legislative power is there, but it is given for some purposes. Right? Because it might be possible that something has to be given to the reserved for the president. Governor is not merely head of the constitutional head, right? He has to see that the government is carried out as per the constitution. So in order to keep the state government within the bounds of law, this is given like that. And also Supreme Court judgment you can quote. The Nabar Rabi has said that 200, etc., etc. And after that you write what can be done to address this issue. Federalism has to be federalism basic structure of the constitution. Right? The ego or conflict needs to be addressed. As far as bill is concerned, Punji Commission said this much. Right? In that way you conclude, very easy to write. With its provision for definite choices, the Constitution makes it obligatory for the governor to act without a wait. Definite choices. 4 choices are given. 200. Obligatory for the governor to act without a wait. It's true, but the question is no time frame is given in the Constitution. Hence, you can write both the ways. Yes, this is it. 4 options has to act it, but no time frame is given. That is the reason these problems are there. Recent issues. Use again those issues. It's very easy, right? Okay. Anything else?
Sir,
yes.
the governors are using their discretionary power to stop the act for the mostly to development of the state society, sir. But how we can avoid this conflict?
fundamental issue goes back to the appointment of governor. You appoint people as per the recommendation given by Sarkari and others, statesmen, not actively indulge or involved in politics, consult the chief minister, address the security of tenure of governor, don't promote governors who interfere, who create problems for the government at the state level. But that is not what is happening, as you know. Isn't it?
But an IAS officer or any administrative officer, if they are not doing in well condition in administration, immediately they are transferring, they are shifting to another place. Then what is the position of governors in the state?
No, the point I am trying to make is this. A bill formulated by the state legislature is addressing a problem. Right? A bill brought by state legislature for, let's say, dealing with crime in the state. Let's take an example of online gambling, Tamil Nadu. Right? Due to online gambling, suicides are happening, social fabric is breaking down, crimes are there. If, let's say, I participated in gaming, I suffered huge loss, what will I do? I'll try to get some money. I'll beat up my wife and take out her jewelry. I'll rob somebody. I'll kill somebody. So a bill is necessary in order to provide power to the authorities to act against online gambling. The governor is not acting on it. So bill is a bill. Bill has to be in law so that it can be implemented. Right? Law and order problem, social fabric, family relation, alcoholism, all these things can happen. Right? A government has to have the power to transfer IAS or IPS, whoever that might be, because they are responsible to people. But how it should be done, that's a different question altogether. Anything else?
No.
Okay, then thank you so much. Revise, write, all the best. Thank you.